Hello. Today's video lesson is to continue with our learning intention about learning about human blood vessels and cells from earlier in the week. The scientific skills that you will use will be to report on findings from your inquiries, which could include oral, spoken, and written explanations. The steps to success will be that you can explore the heart's functions and the functions of different blood cells and blood vessels, identify how the heart pumps blood around the body, describe what blood is composed of, and explain how different blood cells and vessels are useful in combating disease. And we'll be using these sheets that we used earlier in the week and are available on the school website from Wednesday. So I'm going to go through the slides that we used for our Zoom lesson. Please pause them at any time to help you with completing your worksheets. And at the end, we will go through the quiz and I'll also provide the answers as promised. Now remember to discuss how we spoke about what happens when you fall over and graze yourself and how the wound started to bleed, and how sometimes it would heal quickly. Can you remember the very special term we used to talk about what the healing was called when the blood scabs over? That's right, the process is called coagulation. Well done if you remembered that. Give yourself a pat on the back. Some key words we need to know when we're talking about human blood vessels and cells. We have the red blood cell, which is a cell which carries oxygen around the body and gets its colour from hemoglobin. The platelet, which is a cell fragment in the blood that helps the blood form a clot to stop blood loss when you cut or graze yourself. Hemoglobin, look at that spelling, it's very tricky. Say it after me, hemoglobin. This is a substance in red blood vessels that carries the oxygen around the body and gives blood its red colour. Plasma. Plasma is a pale yellow liquid that forms about 55% of human blood and contains the blood cells. It is a very important part of the blood, and it's really there as a liquid to carry the other parts of the blood. And then we have antibody. An antibody is a very special protein produced in the blood that fights diseases by attacking and killing harmful bacteria. Now, we discussed this in our lesson, and the system that is used, the name of the system which pumps blood around the body is called the circulatory system, and it consists of our heart, our vessels, and our blood. And it's very well named the circulatory system because it goes around the body, a bit like a circle. The vessels consist of our veins, which carry deoxygenated blood back to the heart, our arteries, which carry oxygenated blood away from the heart to the rest of the body, and capillaries, which are very, very tiny blood vessels which go to every single muscle and cell in the human body where the blood goes to take oxygen and food. And then our blood, which consists of plasma, red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. Now remember, we talked about how blood looks just like a red liquid, but it's far more than that. It is made up of 4 components. Plasma, the liquid that carries the other parts, and they are red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. Remember, iron is not one of the parts of your blood specifically. Iron is something which is dissolved and contained within your blood. So here is a picture of blood that's been separated. So in the top of the test tube, we have the plasma, and in the bottom of the test tube, we have the red blood cells, platelets, and white blood cells. Now, the plasma makes up about 55% of our blood. And it's a thin, pale yellow liquid which carries what we call the formed elements. And the formed elements describe the part of the blood which is made up of cells and cell fragments. Can you remember the names of the two types of cells and the name of the cell fragments? They are red blood cells, white blood cells, and the cell fragments are platelets. Well done if you remembered the names of these elements which make up the formed elements. Red blood cells are the most abundant type of cell found in the blood. They carry oxygen around the body with the aid of a substance called hemoglobin, which is in the red blood cells. Red blood cells also carry away carbon dioxide. Can you pause the video now and recall what carbon dioxide is? Have a discussion with somebody around the room or yourself in a mirror. Pause the video and then carry on when you're ready. White blood cells are a part of our body's immune system, which travel around in our blood. They are always looking after us and they're throughout our body. And they're looking to find and hunt out bacteria or viruses which have entered our bodies. They can either enter our bodies through a cut, or it might be something that we could breathe in, or perhaps eat. But these white blood cells are everywhere. And white blood cells make the antibodies which fight against invading bodies. Now, as soon as a white blood cell finds something which it doesn't like the look of and shouldn't be there, it starts to attack it to protect us against illness and disease. And other white blood cells rush over really, really quickly as fast as they can. A little bit like if one bee gets stung or has to sting something, a lot more other bees are attracted. They just seem to have this special way of knowing that their buddy needs some help. Do you remember we asked the question, why is it beneficial to have white blood cells in our blood? Pause the video now, see if you can remember. Yes, it's very helpful to have white blood cells in our blood because it means that our blood is part of our immune system and it is throughout our entire body. So that if ever anything that shouldn't be there enters our body, the white blood cells find it quickly and then can prevent it harming us. And you've got the best chance of recovering without any real problems. In this picture, these are bacteria which you wouldn't want to find in your body. And this image has been magnified many thousands of times so that we can see the very tiny bacteria. And then we move on to the final part of the formed elements in our blood, and these are called platelets. And these are cell fragments that help your blood clot together in a process which we spoke about earlier called coagulation, which is not really the same as your blood drying. If you had a drop of blood on the floor on a work surface, that would then dry out. It wouldn't coagulate. This process of coagulation happens when it's on the body protecting a wound. Now, here we are going back through the slides that we did on Wednesday with the work that you are completing. So I'm just going to skip through these, a few seconds on each one, and you can pause just to make sure you've got the slides you need. And then we will move on to our final quiz. These worksheets are on the school website for Wednesday. It's useful to use NHS for the National Health Service in part of your search and see if you can find out descriptions for all of these blood diseases. use this word bank here to help you complete these 5 statements. See what you know about the circulatory system and what you would like to know. And when we're back in school, we can use that as part of our knowledge harvest. Now, these statements need a lot more words. If you go back over this video carefully, you will be able to figure out the answers to these questions. The answers are about to appear on the next slide. Did you manage to get all of those in the right places? Fantastic if you managed to get them all there. Take a careful look for any that you didn't quite get right. See if you can remember them and read the statements carefully back to yourself to help you remember them. Now, here we are on our quiz to challenge and check our understanding and learning about human blood vessels and cells. Question 1. About, and then you have to select either 55, 65 or 75% of our blood is made from either water, plasma, carbohydrates. This is a thin, pale, either yellow, red or blue liquid which carries the formed elements. The formed elements describe the part of the blood which is made up of cells and cell fragments. Question 2. You have to either select blue, red or white. Blood cells are the most abundant type of cells found in the blood. Choose only one of those for the answer. Question 3. You need to complete this statement. White blood cells are part of our body's immune system, digestive system, or circulatory system, which travel around in our blood. Think carefully now and choose one answer. Next question. Platelets are cell fragments that help our blood clot together in a process called, and you have to choose one answer from, coagulation, formation, mulching. Think carefully now. I know I've mentioned it in the slides before. Go back and check the videos if you're not too sure. And here is our final question. You have to select the missing words in the text. I'll read them for you as I go. As soon as the white blood cells find something which shouldn't be there, they, and you have to choose attack, wash or cleanse it to protect us against either illness and disease, becoming tired, growing old, and other yellow, red or white blood cells rush over. Again, take your time. If you're not sure, go back through the video and pause it when you find the relevant slides. That is now the end of the quiz. Pause the video, and when you unpause it, the answers will come up on the next slide. And here are the answers. Congratulations if you got them all right. And if you're not too sure, again, you can always come back to this video to help you with your understanding about the human blood vessels and cells. So, how have you done with your steps to success? Have you been able to learn about the heart's functions and the functions of different blood cells and blood vessels? Identify how the heart pumps blood around the body. Describe what blood is composed of. And explain how different blood cells and vessels are useful in combating disease. If you've got any questions, I'm looking forward to seeing you in school, and we can all help answer each other's questions then. Until then, stay safe and sound. Bye-bye.